Good morning, this is Paul, and today we're going to do a 6-month update on George Emerich Jr.'s plants or cuttings we have. 48 of them. So I moved them up here to get more sunlight and hopefully get some winter growth because we've had a really mild winter in Southern California, most likely due to or related to the La Nina. And the problem here is one variety got a little bit of cold damage, as you can see here. That's pumice there, it's not like mold or anything, I dropped it. But you can see this is just gonna kind of spread. It's gonna continue to yellow and damage more of the young, tender cutting. So what I did is I cut it at a 45-degree angle, and then I applied some hydrogen peroxide. So that's what I like to do. It tends to hopefully stop that yellowing or that bacteria. And then I'm gonna move this one, because it's probably a bit more sensitive, to get less sunlight and hopefully less cold. I'll probably go put it in the greenhouse. Now, here's some other really interesting updates. First I'm showing you here is that I found some archives, and back in 1997, George Emerich Sr. had a huge undatus, and they were questioning self-fertility. Now you can see that George Emerich Sr. replied, and he seemed very humble, and it really backs the friendship that he had with Paul Thompson. And then fast forward to 2004, I came across that George Sr. himself had self-fertile hybrids in just a span of 7 years. So that makes me really wonder, what about George Emerich Jr.? You can see here he's with his cat, Salt. I wonder what he created, because he was really eclectic from what I've heard and did some unique hybridizations. In fact, you could see that Paul Thompson received 12 hybrid seedlings from him, and 2 survived. And Paul Thompson noticed that there was frost sensitivity to polyrhizis and hybrids. So currently you saw that rot. There's one more down the hill with a really minor rot. I'm not going to show you that today. It's going to do fine. I'll probably just go cut it out and add some hydrogen peroxide, do the same thing. But here is one of his polyrhizis, and you can see there's just a lot of winter growth this time of year. This one is interesting because it's not turning any, it doesn't have the blue powder like some of his other varieties. So I find this one really interesting. You can see it was really exfoliated, and it wasn't doing so well when we got these 3-year-old cuttings. But you can see that even though it was exfoliated, the new growth is just dominating. This thing's getting huge. So let me go show you a few more of his that I've put up some temporary trellising as well. So let's go check that out. So this is how I'm assessing them in a 15-gallon pot with a 6-foot steel post wrapped in burlap. And I placed a couple of them under this large fig tree, which is nice because it's deciduous, so it will lose its leaves in the winter. So this gets plenty of sunlight, and then it will get some sun protection in the summer. And this is a different polyrhizis that's producing a lot more of that bluish tint, as you can see here. So I find it extremely interesting how George Emerich Jr. had 15 or so, 17 of these polyrhizis, and the variability of them. I'm convinced that some of them are his hybrids that he was competing with Paul Thompson, as I discussed earlier. But time will tell, we'll see. So I like this method, and I don't think it's gonna be permanent, but we'll see. All right, let me go show you some more. So here are George's plants that prefer a bit more shade, in my opinion, or experience. And you can see just how many I need to deal with still in trellis, but I'm really excited. I have a good idea about where I'm gonna put most of these. I'll share that with you in a minute, but I thought I'd share with you some unique traits here. Like, look at this one. It's extremely, very, very horny. Almost I thought it was rotten, but I just left it alone. You can see it has a new growth. So I find that interesting, just how horny these plants can get, yet they're still healthy and vigorous. Then here is one I think is very interesting. I think this is one of George's hybrids. Just the shape of it. I think it's a polyrhizis crossed with something. I'd guess undatus if I had to. But this one's very beautiful. So I'm interested to see what happens to this one. And it's number 10. So let me go show you where I plan to place these in my yard. So this next season, I've decided this is where I'm gonna put the rest of George's plants. So you can see it's gonna take some work. I'm gonna have to cut out some of these oleanders and some different plants, but some of the plants are gonna remain because George's dragon fruit cuttings just seem to prefer less sunlight than a lot of the other varieties I grow. So I think this space is just gonna be ideal. Now you can see it does get quite sunny over here. So I think that's about the end where I'm gonna be able to plant them anyways. This is an unknown Guatemalan my neighbor gave me. And you can see it's doing quite well. We'll see what happens with this one too. All right, give us a like and a subscribe, and hopefully next time we talk about George's plants, we'll have some in this beautiful space. All right, take care. Thanks for watching.